Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to go over how you can stratify some native perennial seeds. This will work for any seeds that require stratification, native or non-native. It is a cold one today. We are, let's see, it's January 27th in central Illinois and it is not even 30 degrees. So, woo, here we go. Alright, so even though it is the end of January, there are plenty of gardening tasks to do, at least for me. So today what I'm working on is getting some seeds into flats so that they can stratify. Many of our native prairie plants need a period of cold, moist stratification before they will germinate. The species that I'm doing today it requires 60 days of stratification in colder weather that is below 40 degrees. So I am cutting it a little bit close by doing these now, but they should be okay. Alright, so filling flats begins with the soil and the fertilizer. What I personally like to use, these flats are from Stew & Sons, which is a really great resource. I don't think I'll use this model again. They are a little bit flimsy for my purposes. Since I'm doing outside stratification, I really need some plastic that holds up a bit better. But these are doing for now. It is freezing out here, which is why I can barely speak. Okay. So my soil mixture that I use here, this is a mix of Pro Mix. This is their all-purpose blend. They also make a seed starting mix, which is really good. I also mix in some, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's some granular fertilizer in there, the little black pieces. That's Milorganite. Milorganite's a cool product. Alright, so as you can see, each of my flats is labeled with a number for record keeping, and then as I'm filling them with soil, what I'll do is I'll put in a first pass, kind of tap that in. Sometimes I'll take my fingers and press it down. You want it a little bit compacted, but not super compact. I like it just loose enough so that I can still come in here and make a little indent to sit the seed into as I am planting them. Alright, so prairie seeds are ridiculously tiny. These are actually pretty big. These are the prairie coreopsis. But some of them can get pretty darn small. Alright, so these guys are early figwort. And as you can see, that's like dust. It barely exists. So with these guys, what I usually end up doing to seed them is I will take a piece of paper and fold it, and then I will pour my little dust seeds onto the paper, and then I can take it and gently tap it to release just a few seeds per cell in my tray. Pretty labor intensive, but I like to stretch my seeds as far as I can. Alright, so right now what I'm working on is seeding this tray full of Prairie Coreopsis. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna make a little indent in which I will place a single seed. I like to do single seeds for most species because then I get a good idea of what the germination rate is, and it's also good seed economy because the seeds can be kind of expensive and for certain species hard to find. If I have a species that has relatively low germination rates, then I'll go ahead, and then I know that for sure, then I'll go ahead and do multiple species per cell to try and not waste so much growing space. So I'm going to go ahead and seed this whole flat. You probably don't want to watch all that, but then I'll pick up at the next step. Alright, so now that I've got my Prairie Coreopsis tray filled, I haven't done the final sweep of soil over it yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture with this next to the flat number. And then I'm also going to write down on this that in flat 4 I have Prairie Coreopsis. I've learned the hard way that redundancy in records is very helpful. What I'm going to do then is take everything on this sheet of paper and log it in a spreadsheet so that I can easily organize by number. I don't store my flats in numerical order, which I guess I could do that, but so when I pull them out for the beginning of the season, they're all mixed up. Alright, so this flat on top here, number 14, has been filled with early meadow rue. And I made little indents for the seeds to go into. And now what I'm going to do is just sprinkle a little soil on top to make sure that there's good coverage. And since I pressed the seeds down into the soil, they shouldn't scoop out as I'm moving stuff around on top here. Alright, so now that that is nice and level and the seeds are good and covered, I can go ahead and set it over in the area where it's going to rest until sprouting time. Alright, so now that I've got these trays filled, what I've gone ahead and done here is taken a sheet of hardware cloth, 1/4-inch holes, and I'm going to weigh that down with a couple of bricks on either side, and this is going to help protect the seedlings from the force of the raindrops hitting them. Rain is actually a pretty potent soil compactor, and it can make the seeds bounce out of the cells. This will also help keep, it'll help deter squirrels and other rodents. You know, if something's really determined, it's going to get in here, but most of these seeds are so small, they're not worth the trouble. So as soon as I get a row of 4, then I have enough for one of my hardware cloth sheets to cover it. A couple extra tips here if you use this method. Of course, there's all sorts of other things that you could do to stratify your seeds, but I find it's helpful to make the hardware cloth a little bit longer than you need, and that way you don't have to actually cover up any of the cells with your weight. If you cover up the cells with a weight, then well, they tend to mold, they don't get enough moisture, nothing really grows out of there, so you definitely want to keep those cells open. Alright, well, It is stinking cold out today, so, and now it's snowing. I think I'm gonna call it quits. I did manage to get 8 flats done, so that's probably good enough. Alright, and I think that's it for today. I am gonna go in and warm up, and hopefully I'll see y'all soon.